Rachel, I know you have a special guest who happens to be standing at the big board.
Standing by in his trademark khakis, I would note. Steve Kornacki is here with us tonight. Steve, I know that you've been taking a look at where President Biden's popularity stands at this point compared with other presidencies at this point. It's a little complicated this year because usually the first not State of the Union address like this is in February. In this case, we've waited till almost 100 days.
Yeah, there are some different variables with different presidencies. We'll take a look here, but a couple different ways of looking at the numbers here. So let's start with the bottom line here. This is the average approval rating for all the polls that are out there. At the 100-day mark, the average approval rating for Joe Biden is 53%. Now, to put this in perspective, as I say, a couple ways to do it. Here's number one. Let's compare him to his immediate predecessor, Donald Trump. Where was Trump? Where was his average at this same point? There's a 10-point difference there. Biden 53, Trump was 43 at this point. And this has been consistent for the first 100 days or so. Biden's been running north of where Trump was. In fact, Trump, for 4 years as president, failed to break 50% in his approval rating the entire 4 years as president. First time that it happened since polling came around. So Biden's number is above Trump's number. If you took it a level further, I think this is interesting. Their disapproval rating, Biden's average disapproval is 42. Trump's average disapproval rating at this point was 52. This is not a near perfect trade-off, but a general rule of thumb when you look at these poll numbers is the folks who approved of Trump disapprove of Biden. The folks who disapproved of Trump approve of Biden. There's an awful lot of that going on when you look at these numbers here. So again, compared to Trump, higher than Trump started off as president, higher than Trump ever got as president. Now, if we take a step back at all modern presidents, we're going back here to Gerald Ford, basically, since after Watergate. Here's how they stacked up 100 days in. This is the average approval rating. And here the Biden number falls near the bottom of the list. The Trump number is at the very bottom. The only one in between is Gerald Ford. Now, Gerald Ford, remember, came in the summer of 74, and in those first 100 days, he pardoned Richard Nixon, and that's why his number was so low at that point. But otherwise, it's Biden, Trump. And one thing you see here is, look, Carter a Democrat, Reagan a Republican. You used to have, just in general, more robust approval ratings early on in a presidency. One thing that's changed over time when you dig into these numbers, check this out. This is the approval rating from members of the other party, meaning if you look at Biden right now, on average, 11% of Republicans say they approve of the job he's doing as president. When you looked at Donald Trump, it was 9% of Democrats, very few, basically around 10% members of the other party approving of the president. It didn't used to always be this polarized. Take a look at every other modern president. Just go back to Obama. At this point of his presidency, nearly 30% of Republicans approved of the job he was doing as president. Go back to the Reagan-Carter years. Look, getting near 50%. Members of the other party. It used to be, especially in those early days, early months of the presidency, there was a little bit more, I think, bipartisan goodwill from members of the other party toward the new president. Wouldn't always last. That's for certain. But it tended to exist in the early days. And you can see here, it kind of dwindled from where it was in the 70s and 80s to where it was probably about 20 years ago. And with Donald Trump, it took another big jump in terms of polarization, and that's where it still seems to be. That polarization, that seems to be the word that describes a lot when it comes to presidential approval ratings.
And listen, the lived experience of this, Steve, I mean, fascinating look, and I think counterintuitive to a lot of people who've been watching the news. But the lived experience, if you are old enough to have lived through the change in American politics in the 90s, both in terms of what was happening in Republican politics in Congress and in terms of the way that the Clinton administration was in the permanent campaign and the way that the two parties existed there, the whole Newt Gingrich era, it felt like there was a change where partisanship became the polar, the magnetic pole that organized everything in political life. And that's exactly what Steve is documenting. I mean, that approval rating among the opposite party, it just feels it exactly maps to our lived experience.
Yeah, and that Republicans sort of reverted. I mean, it's stunning to me, having been there, that 31% of Democrats approved of my old boss, George W. Bush. We certainly heard a lot more from the 69% who didn't. It never felt like that.
Well, that was only 100 days in.
Exactly.
Some of his worst ideas.
But frankly, after 9/11, he sustained very high approval ratings. Sure. So it is a sign of how the Republicans, and it's some of the same individuals, really did road test sort of their personal politics with the Clintons. And that is what the Republicans reverted to. That became the model for sort of the permanent slash and burn.
And even though Biden says he wants to reset that in American politics, he's certainly not benefiting from it.
But I'm surprised a little bit, honestly, by it, only because it feels like Biden's policies do reset it a little bit.
His policies poll higher than he does.
That's right. And that people will like what he's doing, but still register disapproval, extreme disapproval, because
Steve,
he's Joe Biden.
Can you fact check that for us, Steve? In terms of the polling for his policies versus polling for him personally, do we have anything on that right now?
Yeah, and that's exactly the dynamic you're getting at there is exactly what you're seeing. Take a look at some of the stuff we're probably going to hear about tonight. For instance, this is a poll in the past week here from Monmouth. The infrastructure plan for Biden, 68 support, 29% opposed. The paid leave college tuition, 64-34, basically 2-1 on these questions. The pay fors here, taxes on corporations, taxes on wealthy individuals, basically consistently 2-1. And in fact, if you look at what was the signature item of Biden's first 100 days, it was probably that stimulus. And when that stimulus passed, again, here's the Monmouth poll, it was basically close to a 2-1 support or oppose. But again, as I keep coming to that word polarization, don't mean to sound like a broken record, but you see when you look at the overall assessment of Biden as president, you probably see, and this is true of politicians in both parties today, polarization will kick in, and maybe it counts for more than any individual issue.
But you can't get to a 62% support number with only Democrats. Right? You have to be bringing along some independents and some Republicans into a 62% positive number on, for example, the COVID relief bill. Mm-hmm. It's fascinating. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.